first ever season 2 class changes or patch 12.1. Hey guys, Petko here. Welcome and good morning, sunny day in Europe. I just woke up and I saw 47 pages of class changes, reworks. Let's dive today in, discuss them, analyze them, and let you guys know what's happening with your favorite specs and classes. Let's go. Alright, before we start, Blizzard has made an announcement that they will be reducing some of the power of major cooldowns. Now, this does not affect every single DPS, but some of your favorite DPS specs will have less damage during cooldowns. Most notoriously, Devourer DH, you're gonna see they're trying to shift away your damage outside of your major cooldowns to be higher, and then damage during CDs to be lower. And also, the health of an enemy damage is being increased by 25%. So you are gonna have more health. The reason why that is because they want to make the healing less reactive. You know, previously, for example, you could get one shot. Now they want to make sure that the healing is, you know, steady and you avoid one shots. That is exactly why they are implementing this, and they're saying that, well, that's gonna help healing in a long term. Also, if you miss an interrupt, now will make a sound, which will make it easier for you to sort of juggle when you're pugging without voice. I like this change. I think it's overall healthy. All right, let's dive in. Blood Decay, the very first spec to be changed. Now, we already know Blood Decay is the worst tank this season. Let's see what they've done. In relation to blood healing increased by 25%. Voracious grants slightly more leech. Permafrost grants shield equal to half of your damage done. That's got buffed now. Permafrost got buffed also for Frost and Unholy, but by a small amount. Not gonna change much. Sanctuary Burst got slightly buffed. And Umbellious Eternals absorb damage equal 6 times the damage done by a blood pig. Alright, overall, that's everything from Blood Decay. Is that gonna change anything? I don't think so. I think Blood is still to be the worst tank. However, more changes are needed. These are positive, obviously. Frost, there's nothing for Frost Decay, only Permafrost is gonna give you more shields. Once again, this is gonna be the case as well for Unholy. Now, the biggest change of them all. Unholy is getting a small rework. With the Curse of Ula tech, we're aiming to smooth the gap between cooldowns and non-cooldowns throughput. Exactly what I said. Additionally, we are taking a look at the current summon density of Unholy Decay. For its rework in Midnight, Unholy Decay was reimagining a summoner of the Scorch, and we're happy with that. Blah 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 blah. However, combined with the previous summoning powers from the Rider of the Apocalypse, Hero Talons, the amount of summons are exceeding the numbers we're comfortable with. AKA, if you're playing with DK and you're not a DK player, you might see a lot of, you know, skeletons, whatever. They're trying to lower the visual amount of them, which is fine, and they're gonna be limiting them to 3. You're only gonna be seeing 3 skeletons at most if you are playing with Death Knights, which I think is gonna be a great stuff. Now look what they've changed. Reanimation renamed to Lord of the Dead, and its secondary effect has not been redesigned. When you control 3 Magus of the Dead, sacrifice them to summon their Lord of Destruction for 15 seconds, casting Frostbolts and that chains between 2 enemies. Apex Talons Forbidden Knowledge rank 3, the final node. Magus of the Dead no longer grants stacking damage to Necrotic Coil and Graveyard. That is a big The effectiveness of Putrefy activated by the Red Plague has been increased by 100%. Great stuff. However, Soul Reaper doesn't consume Putrefy anymore, which means you gotta be casting 1 extra button during cooldowns, which obviously is quite unfortunate. Consumes up to 3 lesser ghost stacks to summon them instantaneously. Unholy Holy also changed. Magus of the Dead now grants haste buff on spawn for 15 seconds. Okay. Army of the Dead has been updated. Summons or empowers lesser ghosts to form an unholy army of 8 for 30 seconds. While activate, you command your army through Score Strike, executing orders based on the nearby enemies instead of summoning lesser ghosts. Death Order attacks you, go attacks, whatever, dealing shot damage, whatever. Epidemic Order, lesser ghosts erupting Viscera. Okay. They're increasing the damage of these spells, obviously, as you can see. This has been quite a negative change. Graveyard, Necrotic Coil, Army of the Lesser Ghosts also increased by 20%, and Lesser Ghost damage in general, 10% buff. Commander of the Dead also has been nerfed, unfortunately. As you guys know, once you place DT, you get them. Has been nerfed. Rupture Viscera deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets, which means target cap. Oh, soft cap, sorry. Once again, as I mentioned, you're not going to be able to see more than 3 laser goes, and Permafrost is going to get bigger shield. That's everything for Unholy Decay, which pretty much going to give you less damage during measured cooldowns, more sustained damage. We don't know the exact numbers. This is very early into the PTR. Once we know, I'll let you guys know. Demon Hunter, they can now equip daggers. If you are playing Devourer, you can roll now for daggers, which actually is going to be great. Developer knows for Devourer DH, they're pretty much trying to offset your damage during cooldowns, while nerfing the Mastery, buffing baseline spells. That's pretty much the TLDR. As you can see, Master has been significantly nerfed, especially during Void meta. 66% less damage during that. 66% less bonus damage during Void metamorphosis. But all ability damage got buffed by 20%, which is good. And Void meta now increases the Void rate damage by 40% instead of 60. Oh my god, bro. I cannot believe Blizzard baited me to say this number at 8:51 in the morning or 7:51, Central European summertime. Crazy. Impending Apocalypse now causes each collapsing star to grant 20% increased damage to the next one instead of 30. Once again, chain collapsing stars will also get nerfed. However, consume damage increased by 60%. But doesn't affect Devourer. So damage outside of meta should be better. Havoc, not many changes for Havoc, unfortunately. Death of Chaos has been removed, and Demon Blades, Blade Dance, Chaos Strike now requires equipped Wargrave, Axes, Swords, and Fist Weapons. New talent, Never Say Die, damage increased by 3%, while above 50% health. And more Leech under 50. Whatever. Nothing for Havoc, nothing significant for Havoc. Vengeance DH, Chart Warblades got buffed. Soul Cleave and Failed Devastation are gonna do 25% more healing. Feast of Soul as well. Revo in Pain now is also getting a buff, and Fertility is also getting slight buffs, which are gonna increase your self-sustain by a little bit. Moving forward to Druid, Mate Fur Absorb increased by 25%. I don't think that's gonna help much, especially how useless it was. They should get buffed by like 100% probably. Heart of Wild and Powers Wild growth healing by 25. Again, it's gonna help with the hybrid healing. I don't think it's gonna make a massive impact. Paladin's Druid, TLDR on developer node, pretty much you were getting a lot of free casts, especially free star falls, free star surges, and there were not enough global cooldowns left for you to cast your star falls and rats. They want to change that. They want to make sure that your rotation feels more impactful, hence why they are changing the amount of astral power you are generating. New passive ability, Moonfire and Sunfire go dispelled, nobody cares, they don't play PvP, you're gonna get astral power, whatever. Umbro Intensity being updated now gives you a Rat and Starfire damage increase by 10% all the time. Interesting. Out above by 4%. Apex Talents also adjusted for the rank 2 ones. Astral Smolder damage reduced to 10 to 20% of your critical strike damage was 12 to 24, and duration is increased to 8 seconds with 6. Okay, I'll take that one. So Star Surge started for more baseline damage, that's fine. More of healing, that's fine. Nobody really cares about this. Total Eclipse got buffed here, which is good to see. Touch of Cosmos got nerfed. Celestial Fire has been changed. Gives more damage to Moonfire, Sunfire, Shooting Stars. However, Orbital Breaker got nerfed. Okay, fair enough. Scoop the Stars gives more CDR. That's fine. That's kind of the major changes. So TLDR, they should give you more flow in your rotation, to be precise. Also, a Loon Chosen prior target damage got nerfed, which is not ideal. One of the reasons people like to go a Loon Chosen because easier playstyle and more prior damage. That now is being nerfed, which is unfortunate. Keeper of the Groove also minor changes, mostly negative. Pharaoh Druid moving forward. They want to make Chomp more, impactful ability. Chomp is absolutely useless for Mythic Plus. You only play that for raiding in some niche situations, right? Rip and Tear got buffed. Focus Frenzy nerfed, unfortunately. Saber Jaws also buffed. Mostly raid talent, doesn't really matter for Mythic Plus. Apex Predator Craving got buffed. Got nerfed. More of healing. That's everything for Pharaoh. Nothing insignificant. Restoration Druid. We're making several quality of life adjustments to restoration druids in this update with the goal of addressing usable issues with Tranquility, Nature Swiftness, and Incarnation Tree of Life. We're also making some adjustments to Swiftman to bring back some of the power as punchy single target heals. Okay? Several new talents. Nature Swiftness calls you a regrowth to apply Live Bloom, Rejuvenation, and Wild Growth heal over time effect. Wow, that's actually pretty good. Omen of Clarity increases their growth healing by 40%. Okay. Cultivation is now available below Flash of Clarity in a talent 3. That's fine. There's so many healing changes here. I'm not going to cover all of them. But if you want to stop video and check it out, go for it. I think it looks interesting. Verdant of Infusion no longer extends heal over time effects. Unfortunate. More healing. Less mana cost. Wait, why are they reducing the mana cost of a Restoration Druid? Wasn't a Restoration Druid pretty much known for never being out of mana ever in Mythic Plus? I guess in raiding is different thing, right? More baseline healing, more damage. Germination, Verdacity have swapped positions for Talent 3. Okay, interesting. Guardian Druid developer notes our goals with a Guardian Druid update are largely to address issues with the specialization, damage composition, and ability breakdown. In particular, we are reworking Lunation in order to resolve its adverse rotation pressure and our adjustments to Gory Fur and Wild Guardian. Okay. Incentivize more balance between the rage spenders as well as distribute the impact of the apex talents across longer duration and broader portion of the kit. Apex talents fully reworked, obviously to be understood because there was a lot of times where people didn't really play them, so understandable here. Gorifer also redesigned fully. Gorifer has a chance to make your next Mo race or Ravage free. Ooh, okay. And Mo race and Ravage has a chance to make your item for free. Okay, I like that. Let me check what they've done. Spending the rage has a chance to awaken Guardian Spirit for 8 seconds, which attacks nearby enemies generate 3 rage when you cast Trash on Mango. Mango and Mo deal 20 to 40% additional nature damage over 12 seconds. Your mastery increased by 6%. I'll take that one. And rank 3, when a spirit is awakened in a cooldown of Trash and Mango are reset after casting Berserk or Inclination Guardian for Soak, gain 2 charges of Wild Guardian. Okay. Okay. More damage. Elun's favorite also got buffed. Ursak Fury nerfed. Less absorbs. Lunar Beam healing increase. Okay. And nerf to Elun's chosen Guardian. That's all. Moving forward to Evoker, Augmentation Evoker. TODR on the developer note is the duplicate cast upheavals will no longer knock up enemies, which means less CC, right? More of healing here, and that's everything for Augmentation Evoker. If that remains, this looks to be pretty good so far. I was expecting some Nerf Stoke Evoker, none to be found here. Okay. Instead, more of healing and no extra knocks from the duplicate upheavals. Chrono Warden got changed. The additional stats granted when even might critically strikes now lasts for 15 seconds, modified by Master. Okay. Alright, sure. Devastation Evoker, unfortunately very disappointing performance from Devastation Evoker in Season 1. Let's hope Season 2 is better. While powerful hasn't been a gameplay affecting as we had hoped, we redesigned the rank 3 effects to override Dragon Rage with a limited number of uses of a new powerful spell, Unbound Flame, once Dragon Rage is over. Additionally, Rising Fury and Rising Fury have been Rising Fury has been streamlined. Okay. So Rising Fury rank 3 has been redesigned. When Dragon Rage ends, Rising Fury persists 4 seconds per stack and Dragon Rage becomes Unbound Flame. Unbound Flame may be cast 4 times before Dragon Rage finishes. Okay. Tyranny being updated now interacts with Unbound Flame, causing them to always gain a maximum benefit of Mastery, Giant Killer, regardless of the target's health. More extra healing, and the Risen Fury has been removed instead. Okay. I mean, not... I was expecting more of that. Press Evoker. The goal is to make the changes to Dream Breath more flexible. Once again, Meratra Blessing got changed. All healing of Dream Breath by increased by 60% was 250 and previously applied only to instant healing. Now it's gonna change the modifier, I guess. Dream Breath instant healing reduced by 50%. However, periodic healing got buffed and temporal barrier absorption got buffed by 30%. Font of Magic also updated. It reduces the power cast time of Dream Breath and Fire Breath by 20%. Okay. Hunter. Now this is for the boys. Watch this. A range out to shot increased by 60%, but Hunter's Mark can now be applied to 5 targets. 5 targets instead of 1. This is absolutely incredible change for all the hunters, especially in Mythic Plus, where you can use Hunter's Mark now on every single pack because you are going to be bringing more damage to them, which is fantastic. I love that. Big thumbs up for the rework. I would even increase that from 5 targets to 8 targets if I were me. But very good. Dark Ranger got buffed for every single specialization that plays Dark Ranger. Bleak Arrow's damage increased by 300%, and Withering Fire Black Arrow damage reduced by 40. Beastmaster Hunter, pretty much they're not happy with the amount of damage you do outside of Beast Wrath, and they are going to be adjusting that. Also, Beast Cleave now duration is going to be 10 seconds because apparently 8 seconds wasn't enough because people that played BM Hunter complained that it was too short. So now they're buffing it, making it even easier to play. Heart of the Pack renamed to Razor Sharp. Redesign increased damage of the pet, bite, claw, and smack by 100%. Blood Frenzy reduces the barrel shot theoretic rate increased by 33%, was 50, got nerfed. Q Cleave got nerfed. However, Barb Shot damage increased by 25, Q Command by 20, Cobra Shot by 20, and Beast Cleave once again is gonna be 10 seconds. Wild Instincts removed, unfortunate. Dark Ranger, Dark Summon, you can now track them in CD Manager, that's fine. Hunter received once again another rework. Why exactly is that? Because they fucked up the first one. Let's see what they've done here. In Midnight Season 2, we are making changes to the explosive shot design and some of its supporting talents, and headshot talent has been also a source of frustration, so we are removing it and adjusting how dead blow works to make it more predictable. Finally, we are adjusting Apex Talent's node to no longer make aim shot a guaranteed critical strike to reduce the emphasis of aim shot modifiers. Okay. New talent, explosive shot can be used second time if used within 3 seconds. Explosive shot incorporates any remaining damage from the previous explosive shot on target, okay? And once again, the redesign here, fire an explosive shot at your target. Every 1 second for 3 seconds, the target explodes, dealing fire damage to all enemies in 8 yards. Once again, soft cap. Recasting explosive shot incorporates any remaining damage. Okay, that's fine. Visuals updated. Precision detonation design, explosive shot lasts for 1 second. 1 second longer. Shrapnel shot and incendiary ammunition has now been redesigned. Explosive shot cooldown reduced by 10 seconds. Apex Talent rank 2. Your critical strike damage increased by 5 to 10%. Your range ability deal 6% increase damage. Very good, by the way. I like that. Rank 3. Spotter Mark increases damage of the next aim shot and rapid fire against targets with only aim shot. To be fair with you, rapid fire damage was quite a mess, so I'm happy to see that being implemented. Bullet Storm redesign. Rapid fire increases damage of the next aim shot by 20%. Was that Bullet Storm used to be like a... Was that the execute talent, or was that to make your trick shot hit more targets? I forgot already. I think it was the execute. Dead Blow redesign aim shot now has a chance to cause your next aim shot to grant Dead Blow effect. To be honest with you, Dead Blow was kind of bad, so I'm happy that they're touching it. Aspect of the Hydra no longer makes Arcane Shot cleave. As you can see, aim shot, rapid fire, Arcane Shot, multi shot, kill shot, 20% increase in damage. Dead Blow update for Hunter is to make it clear to when you should follow a name shot with a kill shot or black arrow cast rather than having the uncertainty on which button to press. Rapid fire 100% chance to get a dead blow effect is unchanged. You should always be able to follow up rapid fire with a Q shot or black arrow. Okay. Ego's accuracy got nerfed. Focused aim reduces aim shot by only 1 second. And that's pretty much the most important. Double tap headshot got removed. Okay. There's so many pages of changes. Dark Ranger also got slight changes here. On behalf of MM Hunter, black arrow damage reduced. Direct damage reduced by 40%. Okay. Something are also small changes. Less CDR on aim shot. Okay. Survival Hunter. What they've done to the Survival Hunters. Primal Surge has been removed to the easier to access location to the talent 3. Okay. Shower of Blood removed. New talent. Raptor Strike. Raptor Swipe. Kill command gains 10% increased critical strike chance and 10% increased critical strike damage. Okay. Interesting. Also, you're gonna get with Sentinel, you're gonna get more focus generation. and now you're gonna be using any kind of weapon instead of like using weapons, so only gives you more focus, which is, I think it was do away with daggers, right? That's good. Little bottoms actually big W change. Mage, finally, some mage changes. So they're admitting that they over nerfed the mage defensives, and now they're rolling some extra defensive values for mages. Okay, so warding damage taken from area effect reduced by 4%, pretty much 4% avoidance in talent. Prismatic barrier is now going to give you an extra charge of prismatic barriers in addition to all the bonuses that previously give you. It's fine. And temporary alignment heals you for 20% of your health and heals additional 30% over 6 seconds when you drop lower. Okay, so that's going to definitely increase the durability of your spec. I like that. Sun Fury has seen some changes, actually quite a bit of changes. For better or for worse, we don't know for now. But as you can see, they've seen quite a lot of changes here. Arcane, we're redesigning Arcane Mage Apex Talons to provide a more exciting visual moment, okay? Rank 1 Arcane, Arcane Barrage has 1% chance per Arcane Salvo stack consumed to trigger Prismatic Bolt, which devastates the target with overwhelming energy, dealing arcane damage to your target and reduces arcane damage to nearby and reduced arcane damage to nearby enemies. Okay, so that's kind of a passive damage that does cleave and ST at the same time. Generates 4 arcane charges, not affected by arcane blast talent. Okay, I think that's pretty decent though. Rank 2 Prismatic Bolt has a 100% chance to grant clear casting. Arcane Missile damage increased by 30%. Okay? And Arcane Salvo grants additional 1% chance to trigger Prismatic Bolt. Arcane Barrage damage increased by 15%. So that's going to smooth out the gameplay actually. Arcane Pulse also redesigned cast time reduced to 2 seconds. So they made it so from 225 went to 175, went to 225, now went to 2 seconds. They can't change their mind, seems like. Radius increased to 8 yards. Ooh. The 15 seconds cooldown generates 1 arcane charge for each enemy stuck and costs 10% of the base mana. No longer has its cast time, radius, mana cost, or cast speed affected by arcane charges. I think that's gonna be a much healthier gameplay for Arcane Pulse. Okay. Touch of Dark Mage has been removed. Fire Mage. Our goal with these changes is to shift the relative value of fire steady state damage versus combustion. So pretty much more damage outside of combustion is what they want to do. Fine. Pyroblast Flame Strike 15% more damage. Apex Talons rank 1 grants 2% increased fire damage for 8 seconds, was 4 for 12 seconds. They're buffing rank 2 Apex Talons, and rank 3 Apex Talons chance to occur during combustion has been slightly reduced. Okay. Well, as I said, these buffs will offset the nerfs to the combustion, net neutral, but it's going to increase the overall damage outside of combustion, which is overall something that I like. Frost Mage, 4% aura buffed. And unfortunately, that's been offset by the nerf of your Apex Talons rank 2. Glacial Bulwark has been redesigned, no longer grants additional charge of Ice Barrier. Yikes. So they're buffing durability of Fire and Frost, Fire and Arcane, but they're taking the extra charge of Ice Barrier from the Frost Mage. Well, I guess because they're giving you one more, so you don't want to have 3 instead. You know, I think you're gonna have only 2 instead of 3, and that's fine, I guess. Which is gonna make more balance, right? Because I think previously only Frost Mage has double charge of Barrier, and this gets at 1, so now everyone is gonna have 2, which is fair. Monk. Cheater Answer causes Depth of Touch to heal you for 60% of damage done. And Vigorous Explosion increases expel harm healing by additional 1%. Wow. Brewmaster instead. Stagger reduction from Stagger and Strikes increased by 25. Spirit Fox got buffed. Celestial Brew and Celestial Infusion got buffed. Awakening Spirit got buffed. Vital Flame buffed as well. These are pretty healthy buffs for Brewmaster, by the way. I like that. Keep them up. Mistweaver, healing reduced by 3%. Gust of Mist Mastery got buffed by 50. Speeding Cranking damage decreased by 15%. Way of the Crane now transfer less healing. That's a big of a bummer. They buffed Jade Fire Teaching though, but Wave of Crane got nerfed. Little bit of a bummer. New talent, Soothing Mist healing is increased by 300%, but its mana cost is increased by 200. Okay. Windwalker Monk, we're making a few adjustments to Windwalker damage profile to reduce the gap between the steady state damage and higher end burst capabilities. Once again, less damage during cooldowns, more damage outside of it. This is exactly what I've been asking for a long time. I like this change. Melee auto attacks increased by 30%, Zenith Stomp damage reduced by 30%, Blackout Kick buffed by 50%, Tiger Palm buffed by 200%, Dual Threat damage increased by 30%. Weapon of the Wind got nerfed. Tiger's Brew got nerfed. More of healing. Obviously, Conduit Celestials, we already knew that's gonna happen. They're nerfing the Conduit Celestial damage by 25. Tempo Training increased damage of 50 Fury and Spinning Cannon Kick by 30% was 10. That is a very healthy buff, by the way. Because they took some power away from Celestial Conduit, they gave you more damage on Fist of Fury and Spinning Crane Kick. I take it. Paladin. More healing in general for Paladin on all specs. Protection Paladin. With these changes, we are intending to reduce the opportunity cost associated with the Taking Sentinel and broadening the suite of defensive talent options. We are also transferring some power out of strong cooldowns windows and take it into baseline throughput. Okay. New talent. Word of Glory can no longer critical strike, but its healing is increased by your critical strike chance by 80%. That is gonna make for a very healthy playstyle. Less RNG. Overhealing done to you instead of shrouds you in light and grants you absorb shield. Beautiful, by the way. I like that. Ardent Defender have been redesigned or improved. AD got redesigned. Increased maximum health by 20%, while active and no longer cancels the remaining duration if fatal damage is sustained. Okay. Okay. Judgment does more damage, so is Consecration. Masterwork updated after casting Holy Armaments. Your next 3 cast of Hammer of the Righteousness, Blaze Hammer, or Crusader Strike bestows a lesser armament of the same kind. Okay. Nearby ally. More damage seems like they're getting. More proud damage they're getting. Avenger Shield, 30% more damage. Like, why are they buffing damage though? Imperial Hammer and a Hammer of Light does 1/3 less damage. That's fine. Divine Execution, Divine Toll effectiveness reduced to 80% was 150. Oh, I see why they're buffing this. Sentinel duration increased by 20 seconds. Beautiful. Undying Embers got buffed. Bulwark of Order got buffed. More absorbs. I like that. More healing from Solace in your Consecration. Sanctified Wrath removed. Okay. I think overall this is actually pretty healthy changes for Protection Paladin. It seems like less RNG, more durability, less burst damage, more sustain, it seems like, to me. Red Paladin. Addressing the throughput spikes during cooldowns windows with a curse of the Ulatek. Once again, less damage during cities, more outside of cities, although your cities are pretty short. Alongside those changes, we're removing some interactions with the Sky Fury buff that deeply impacted the rotation and Holy Power economy. We believe this is a healthier direction of Red Paladins, so pretty much no longer must have Sky Fury, which is Shaman buff. Apex Talons rank 1, Art of War and Righteous Cause can now each accumulate additional time. Blade of Justice buff by 40%. Art of War unfortunately got nerfed. Aha, I see. So they took the power from Art of War and gave it to baseline more damage to Blade of Justice. Final Verdict and Divine Storm, which are your ST and AoE spenders, got buffed by 15%. Avenging Wrath unfortunately nerfed, so less damage during cooldowns. Templar Strike, Templar Slash and Judgment buffed by 50%, and so is Hammer of Wrath. Divine Toe Judgment got nerfed. Apex Talons rank 3 got nerfed, and more of healing. Art of War no longer activates from additional Sky Fury attacks. Sky Fury attacks no longer generates Holy Power when talented Crusader Strikes. Crusader Strikes got nerfed. Oh no, sorry. Got buffed, it seems like. Increases the auto attack speed by 15%. Aha! Is to offset the Sky Fury changes in that case. Executioner sentence area effect radius increased to 10 yards and now includes the bounding radius of the target. Okay. They're buffing Templar, it seems like. But 30%. However, how much that's going to cost you? 3 holy powers instead of 5. Okay. Interesting. A few more changes left, guys. Bear with me. Discipline Priest. Massive changes to them, it seems like. Changes that aim to reduce the spec's reliance on procs for effective healing, improved sources of consistent damage, and improved hero talent balance. We felt the spec was too reliant on Shadow Mend and Void Shields procs to effective healing, so we are updating Shadow Mend to be a passive upgrade to Flash Heal. Additionally, Smite contributes a low amount of damage despite being frequent cast. Okay. New talents. Shadow Mend heals for 30% more and applies atonement for additional 4 seconds, but the cast time is increased by 0.5 seconds. Okay. Apex Talents rank 3. Mind Blast upgrades your next power word shield or Void Shield. Void Shield chance to trigger from penance reduced by 25 was 33. Okay. Rank 3 once again, Apex Talents. Void Shield reflects 15% of the damage taken, was 25 before. That's fine. Smite damage increased by 40. More flash healing. Master of Darkness can now accumulate 2 charges. Damage reduced by 30% from the Inseparable Torment. Penance no longer applies atonement when cast on ally. We updated the penance to apply atonement going to midnight, but have felt this has been not playing well. Greater Smite is now 1 point talent. Oracle changes. Unfolding Vision, when Power Word Shield or Void Shield expires with Absorb remaining, it jumps to a nearby injured ally instead. This actually is very good. Wow, very good quality of life changes. And Void Weaver, Void Blast damage increased by 25, Void Threat damage increased by 30, and Void Infusion is getting a buff as well. Very good, by the way, coming for this priest here. I like that. Holy Priest, resonating energy, a slight redesign, creating halo of increased healing done by 2% for 10 seconds, stacking them 4 times. Divine Hymn also been updated, now additionally grants Guardian Spirit while channeled. Big W. In case you die from it, at least you get to be rest. Shadow Priest. We're intending to improve Void Form gameplay and additionally adding a source of multiple target damage to reduce the spec's reliance on Psychic Link in AoE situations. For Void Form, we're updating Void Volley to be a limited usability that can be cast, that can be used a set number of times during Void Form. Okay. Let's see. New talent. Shadow operations float towards your primary target, explode, dealing shadow damage to all enemies within 8 yards. Soft cap to 5 targets. Okay. Improve Void Form has been redesigned. Void Form increases your spell damage by additional 5% and grants 2 additional uses of Void Volley. Ancient Madness. Shadow Word Madness increases your haste during Void Form by 2% and increases its duration by 1.5 seconds, stacking up 5 times. So 10% haste for free. When Void Form ends, the haste lingers and decays over 10 seconds. Love that. Void Form grants 3 uses of the Void Volley instead of Void Volley having a cooldown during Void Form. Okay. Void Volley deals 15% increased damage and Shadow Word Madness cast during Void Form. Unleash a Void Volley at your target. That's only for Archon though. Okay. Rogue. Let's see what it's done to Rogue. This OT is now a choice of talent. Players may now choose between the existing version, which is cast automatically at low energy, or manually casting it. Okay, that's fine. Antrophic Poisons reduces the damage done by 4%. So that's gonna be a stronger raid buff. Atrophic Poison duration is 60 seconds instead of 10 seconds. I love that, by the way. This is actually a stronger raid buff. This makes your Atrophic Poison first of all last a minute, which sometimes if you have no uptime of this can drop, which is bad. So now it's going to be a minute, which is fine. And it's going to further reduce damage that the target does to you by additional 1%. Stronger raid buff, I like that. Deal of Fate has a 60% chance to grant extra common point when you Seal Fate with 100%. That's nerfed to Fate Bound. Asarok, developer note. We're hard and happy with how rank 1 implacable Apex Talent is playing. It's unintuitive for optimal play to intentionally let Envenom drop. We're updating its design so refreshing Envenom late is consistently the best way to play. Okay. More energy, more damage. New talent. Envenom damage increased by 18%, but its duration is reduced by 2 seconds. Internal bleeding now triggers from casting Kidney Shot and Rapture, rather than also being applied when coping Raptures with Crimson Tempest. Damage increased by 10%. Iron Wire updated. Garots applied from stealth or during improved Garot windows silence enemies for 5 seconds. Damage reduction behavior unchanged. Okay. Out above by 3%. Dashing Scoundrel updated, and Venom effect now increases the critical strike chance of your weapon poison by 10% with 5%. Energy gen increased by 4% for each lethal poison on your weapons. So if you have 4, that's 16%. That is lovely, by the way. That might solve the energy issues on Rogue. Kingsbane damage reduced by 15%. Deathmark also got nerfed, so less damage during cooldowns. Shrouded Suffocation got buffed. Ovulation got buffed. Motivated Murder Energy got buffed. Rapid Injections also received a buff. Once again, this is going to increase your damage outside of cooldowns, and because of the buffs might offset the nerfs to your major cooldowns and minor cooldowns. Love that. Outlaw Rogue. Killing Spree damage increased by 60%. 0 in value reduced per stack by 2%. Between the Eyes has been updated, causing Between the Eyes critical strike to deal 2.5 times the normal damage was 3 times. That is a nerf. Fast Action has been updated, now reduces the cooldown of Between the Eyes by 8 seconds, was 5, and increases damage done from Bones Edge. Okay, so more frequent Between the Eyes, but not as strong as before. Okay. Also, Heavy Hitter got buffed as well. We don't want players to feel obligated to use offhand daggers to maximize the value of this talent. 0 in and now has 30% chance to not proc if triggered by weapon with 1.8 speed. Okay. Hidden Opportunity got buffed. And that's about it. Less energy for Subbroke with a Relentless Strike. Shadowcraft got buffed. Okay. Not many changes here. Alright. Shaman. Finally. 2 more specs left. Ascendance has a new icon. Farseer. Shaman. Chain Lighting now hits up to 5 target. What? Wait, what? Is that only for Farseer? Oh, please make Farseer better. Chain Lighting now hits 5 targets. Lava Burst now also increases the damage by your percent equal to your critical strike chance. Is that for a Restoration Shaman only? I feel like. Because for Ellie, you already hit 5 targets, right? Or is it the Farseer Spirit's Chain Lighting? I don't know. Developer note. Ellie Shaman have higher burst during Ascendance. Oh, they were under Ascendance. Fuck. Okay. We don't want Ascendance to stop being a noticeable damage amplifier, but the combination of the effect that boosts your elemental overload damage from both Ascendance and Apex Talents, all compounded with each other, we are spreading a lot more damage into your spells to deal consistently higher damage while still getting a nice spike, okay? Paladin Maelstrom, Lightning Bolt, and Chain Lighting have 50% chance to cause your next 2 Lava Burst to deal 20% increased damage, stacking them 2 times. This is good for 8, bad for Mythic Plus. Supercharged and Powered Maelstrom both were extra random elemental overloads. We feel that the other changes will make your damage more consistent. Stormkeeper has been updated. Your next 2 lightning bolts become instant and cast and deal 150 increased damage on next 2 chain lightnings, become instant and cause elemental overload on all targets. Aha! So they don't do more damage. They just got overloads now. Okay. Isn't that nerfed to Stonekeeper? Lava Burst does more damage. Lightning Bolt does more damage. Chain Lightning increased by 60%. Tempest direct damage is reduced by 20. Okay. Ascendance now increases the damage of the Elemental Overload by 30%. Was 75. That is a massive nerf to Ascendance, by the way. Bonus Lava Burst with activated Ascendance are now 50% of their normal value. That wasn't that big of a deal anyway. It's whatever. Molten Rat got nerfed. Apex Talons rank 1. Oh my god, they're nerfing the Apex Talons as well on top of the Ascendance. Okay. Rank 2 Apex Talons also got nerfed. Elemental Blast cast from the fusion of the elements now only grants 40% of the normal duration of the Elemental Blast. That's whatever. It's mostly for 8. Doesn't matter 50+. Some bug fixes. That's about it. Stormbringer Supercharge has been redesigned. Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, and Tempest Overloads deal 10% additional damage. Okay. Not what I was expecting, chat. Enhanced Shaman, nothing for enhance, only more of healing. That was also present for healing, whatever. A Restoration Shaman, nothing for you actually. Healing Rain now has a 12 seconds cooldown and an 18 seconds duration. Recasting Healing Rain while one is already active will spawn in the previous one. I think this is good for, you know, it's good for prone of errors. If you misplace Healing Rain, I think that's good. You know, it's flexible. Warlock, Summon Demonic Gate is now a utility spell by default. Wow, insane change. Hellcaller. We're updating the Blackened Soul to give Hellcaller a better tool for focusing damage into prior targets, increasing the overall flexibility of the hero talent tree rather than the have excel situations. Okay. Blackened Soul also redesigned. If the target is affected by a Wither, your Chaos Bolt and Shadow Burn increase its stack count by 1. Each time Wither gains a stack, it has a chance to collapse, consuming a stack every 1 second. Okay. Mark of the Perotarn. Damage critical strike dealt by Wither deals 215% instead of 200. Damage critical strike dealt by Blackened Soul deals 225. Okay, that is actually very good buff here. I don't like the Blackened Soul changes in general. Chaos Bolt and Shadow Burn only. Okay, not great here. I don't like it as much. Destrolock changes. So nothing for Demo, nothing for Affley. This is mostly for Destro. Conflagration of Chaos has been redesigned. Conflagrate and Shadow Burn have a 100% chance to critical strike, and their damage is increased by your critical strike chance. Rank 1 Apex Talents, updated tooltip, whatever. Warrior, the last thing. Developer node. Rend is an iconic and core warrior ability with different relationship with each spec. Our approach to Rend in Midnight hasn't worked out as well as we hope. We were making some changes to how each spec applies and interacts with a Rend of Flickers or Attack. A Rend ability is now exclusive to arms, has returned to being a single target ability, and its rage cost reduced to 10. Cleave will apply a Rend to all targets if the warrior knows a Rend. That is nice quality of life shit. Which means you gotta manually press F wasty probably. New talents, Stormblood. Whirlwind applies a Rend to all targets. For Fury actually, okay. Crashing Thunder causes Storm of the Blood to also apply Thundering Clap for Mountain Tane. Okay, so never mind. Arms, Fury, and Protection are all gonna have Rend to the targets, whatever. Nothing changes then. What? Thunderclap can no longer initiate applies Rend if known, okay? Javeliner new icon. Arms. A Ravager has been updated. The current value puts more emphasis in AoE than ST. We redesign Ravager slightly to address this as well as to increase the Ravager value in all combat situations. So damage got buffed by 50%, however, a Ravager no longer increases Cleave and Whirlwind damage while activated. A Ravager now causes all enemies it damages to take 25% increased damage from your bleed for 12 seconds. A Ravager duration is no longer reduced by haste. Do you guys think that's a W or L? Warriors in the chat? What do you think? Bloodletting has been updated. Your abilities have a 5% chance, a 5% increased chance to critical strike targets affected by rend. If you know rend, Mortal Strike afflicts rend on targets below 35% health, which means on pure ST, you don't have to apply rend anymore. You just gotta press Mortal Strike. Deep wounds last longer. Broken Strokes updated. Colossal Smash grants 6 stacks of sweeping strikes on use. Okay, I like that. Sweeping strikes displace number of active sweeping strikes charges. Okay. Improved sweeping strikes has been removed. Max execution and overplowing finishes are now a choice node with each other. Battle Lord and Master Tacticians have swapped positioning. Hero talents. Colossus. Demolish variable cooldown has proven to be more frustrating than interesting. We're changing it to align closely with the Colossus Smash. The time of the battle increases damage of overpower and execute was only overpower. Demolish CDR is now 30 seconds instead of 45. Dominions of the Colossus no longer reduction the cooldown of Demolish. So no CDR but flat out 30 seconds. That's fine, I'll take it. Fury Warrior Whirlwind updated. Whirlwind has historically been a core part of Fury. Even in single target situations, we would like to open the door for Whirlwind to be useful ability in ST again. Whirlwind now generates 3 rage initially, okay? Initially. Okay, I don't know what that word means. Improved Whirlwind has been updated. No longer causes Whirlwind to generate 3 rage initially, but still increases rage generation by Whirlwind by 1 per target hit, up to 8 rage. New target Whirlwind deals 50% additional damage when it strikes only 1 target. I feel like that's gonna be kind of bad though, because you already, like, Fury is already fucking smashing buttons. You're already pressing your Rampage, you're pressing your fuck, I forgot what you're pressing even. Crushing Blow, right? You're pressing your Bloodthirst, and then if you're playing Mountain Tain, you're pressing Clap on ST, and now you want to be pressing Whirlwind as well? Too many buttons, bro. A Rampage Whirlwind updated. While improved Whirlwind is activated, Rampage Final Strikes slams the ground, dealing physical damage to all enemies in 8 yards of your target, but it's soft capped to 5 targets. Okay. Hack and Slash updated. Rampage now has a 75% chance to refund charge of a Raging Blow and increases damage of your next Raging Blow by 20%. Interesting. Maybe a Raging Blow is going to have more power now. Mountain Tain Thunder Blast got buffed by 40%. Crashing Thunder increases Thunderclap damage by 10% was 30. Okay, so more baseline damage, less amplifier. That's fine. Protection, the last spec to talk about today. More Ignore Pain Absorb value. That's fine. Brutal Vitality got buffed. A Ravager also got updated here. It got damage buffed by 50%. However, no longer increases Ravage and Thunderclap damage while activated. They will do all targets take more damage from your bleed for 12 seconds. Okay. Fueled by Violence got buffed as well. More healing. That's fine. Colossus also got changed. Once again, this is the same thing as Iron's Warrior. Baseline CD Demolish is going to be 30 seconds. Mountain Tain, the same thing as Fury. More baseline Thunderblast damage. Less amplified damage. That is everything so far, by the way. I have lied. This was 89 pages of changes. Likely the most I've seen in a long time. I hope you guys like this. Once again, I'll be monitoring PTR very closely. And the content from now on is going to become a lot more streamlined and a lot more in the following weeks. Thank you for watching the video. And I'll see you on stream to talk about everything. Bye for now.